I'm very excited to be here today with these lovely ladies. We decided to do a podcast based on feminine energy and talk about all our feminine sides. And we are from different backgrounds. I'm Andrea Inojosa. I'm founder of Pura Vida Wellness and Holistic Healing, where I incorporate energy healing, hypnotherapy, shamanic work, and inner work to help people to find high functional people, to help to find themselves into safety, into a fulfillment life that they can really start to embrace a true authentic self and they find inner peace and delight in the daily lives. Also, I have two amazing, beautiful women here that we decided to do this together. Srimiti, that sometimes I struggle with her accent. She's from the Holosomatic Voyage, and she's an amazing, beautiful being. She also does some Reiki. She'll talk about herself, and there also some amazing holosomatic healing. And the Jennifer, that's also a life coach and the founder of Sacred Hair. That's also she has a podcast. She's a beautiful, amazing being. So here we are, the three beautiful ladies that we have a lot to share with you guys, and we are very excited to start this journey together. This will be the first one of many conversations that we are going to be hosting in a weekly basis and talk about life in general and about things that you feel that fulfill our souls and can help you guys in some way. So very excited to start this beautiful journey.
Yeah, that was absolutely lovely, Andrea. Thank you so much for introducing us and yeah, what we're going to be doing on this platform. So, just a quick introduction of myself. I am Smriti and I'm founder of the Holosomatic Voyage. I'm a facilitator in holosomatic bodywork, which is a combination of somatics, that is movement, and breathwork. It's a beautiful amalgamation, and via this modality we're working on our mind through our body. So it's again, I work very closely with women, and this is a trauma informed modality. So anyone who has been through any sort of trauma, you can be a teenager to, I don't know, it really doesn't matter what your age is. And I welcome also high functional corporates because I'm also an investment banker. But I also came into this field because of my own personal journey. So I really understand what it is to be in corporate, to be high functional. You don't have to be an exec. You can just be a normal corporate working your 9 to 5, but we all face that work stress. So that's who I work with, and very closely with women also. So yeah, everyone's invited and everyone's welcome here. And another huge part of my work is to make, I wouldn't call this therapy really, but it's just a safe place to come back to this, to yourself, to your body, and yeah, to just a really affordable space. So that's where my journey is taking me right now, and I am really, really grateful to have connected with these two women via the internet, thanks to the internet, and here we are today, really trying and hoping to make a place safe for women, where everyone can connect. So yeah, over to you, Jenny.
Welcome everyone to Vida Alchemy. Thank you, Smithy and Andrea. The beautiful introduction, and you guys, I feel so blessed to be with you both in this space. So, I am Jennifer, also known as Sia Barnes, and many call me Jen or Jenny. So many names. So, my background is in education and finances. I help women and families create aligned wealth through the integration of financial strategies, nervous system regulation, and mindset transformation. My work supports clients moving beyond fear and survival. It's cultivating emotional safety, financial clarity, and legacy rooted in purpose, abundance, and self trust. So I do coach as well alongside with this and offer programs, and really it's about manifesting your best life. And yes, I am the founder of Sacred Heart. alongside with sacred wealth. And this is where all my work is cultivated. So I am so thankful to be here. And well, let's get into it. Divine Feminine, embodying a sacred archetypal energy of nurturing, intuition, creation, and receptivity. What do you guys think about that? Divine Feminine. How does that resonate in your bodies?
Yeah, I think it's an amazing topic, that really resonated with the three of us. And I think the biggest myth about divine feminine is the physical aspect of do you identify as male or do you identify as female, which is
Mm,
not the case. We're talking solely about energies. So
mm,
you have the divine feminine energy and you have the divine masculine energy. So when we're talking about the divine feminine, it's more about the qualities, it's more about the creativity, the flow, giving birth to something that's creation again, letting go. So these are the energies which we could bucket into divine feminine. Like versus divine masculine is, the logical part, like the thinking portion, taking control of things. So those are divine masculine qualities, and everyone has divine feminine and divine masculine in
mm.
them. So yeah, I mean, people think that only women have divine feminine energy in them, and men vice versa. So it's not like that. So that's the biggest myth that first of all I think people need to understand. Yeah.
Yeah, all the
Mm,
things more like everybody has a the divine masculine, divine feminine. It's just I feel that society in general, we are many times we are used like especially for women like ourselves. That, for example, in my case, I'm a divorced woman, and I have been by myself for a long time. So I have to really try to incorporate more my masculine energy, but in a way that I still focus on, don't forget that the most important thing for me is really to use my feminine energy, my intuition, trust on that feminine aspect, and let myself be truly embrace this feminine energy inside me,
mhm,
and don't let the masculine energy rule my life, because I mean I have to do everything by myself. I don't have a partner at the moment. I'm a relationship within myself, and really embrace this true authentic feminine, and don't be afraid to show that I'm a woman of a huge amount of feminine energy, and really embrace that in the most beautiful and authentic way. Don't be afraid to shine our own light, express how feminine we can be. That we really have to trust in our intuition, in our instinct. Don't be so afraid that because we have the need of control in our lives in general, and
mhm,
many times we cannot control everything in our lives, and be okay with that. And it just trust the intuition and where the universe, life is guiding us. So I think that's very important. We can really embrace and really value and love our true authentic selves and be the most feminine we can be.
mhm. I love that. I love what you both said. For me, divine feminine has taken many different shapes and form. You know, um, I pretty much lived in the the masculine traits, I guess you can say, very independent. I raised my three children by myself, so being both mother father qualities, and ensuring that my kids have the best what you call it, experiences. For me, it's more the experiences, that's where you learn. So, and, catering to my three children, and yet being this nurturing mom. But when I think of divine feminine, what the goddess that really resonate with me is Kali, you know, because she's just not like, and, whether whatever your belief is, this isn't about belief, but when I think of the goddesses, they're examples of different archetypes. And, we think divine feminine is always soft. And for me, I'm in this phase right now, learning to move with the softness and create more space, because before it was like one thing after another, very straightforward. My days were 4:30 in the morning till midnight, and I was probably barely getting 4 to 5 hours of sleep. And how do I create that space and give myself more rest, that softness, right? And what does softness looks like to me? So when I think of Kali, I think, oh, this woman, yeah, sure, she can be soft, but everyone knows her as like this fiery devastation, renewal and revamping. And so there's just this like really like assertive, probably even aggressive energy to her. And I feel myself very like I have this energy that keeps going, and then I'm gonna say it. Fuck with me, I will fuck you up. Right? Fuck with my children, I will fuck you up. And that to me is like so Kali, you mess with her children, women. It's like I'm gonna I'm gonna destroy, and we're gonna start this over. And so this whole divine feminine has been taking different shape, and I always felt very far from the divine feminine because of how I grew up and being a single parent. So Andrea, when you're saying, "Oh, I'm doing things myself," it's like that's all I knew. And then learning to make space for someone else to come into my life, I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know how to receive, and I think that's a big part with the divine feminine is not doing but being, and not always giving. Yeah, we nurture, but also learning to receive and say yes, right?
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
Yes, I agree with that. I think the receiving side, we really have to be able to be okay in receiving, not just giving, because I think most of us, I'm not going to tell everybody, but we are so used to give, give, give. And you are so right, Jennifer, is like be able to be really receive whatever comes to our way and be okay with that. Be okay to be taken care of. Be okay to have people watch for you, look for you, help you, and that's okay. And it truly embrace this side of you that you don't have always to be in control. You don't always have to be in control of everything, because when you, like you told, you got divorced, you raised three children, and I got divorced in 2012, and I felt the need to be in control of everything in my life. But last year, when I went to the most difficult season of my life, which I'm still going through, I realized that many things are out of our control, and you have to be okay with that. You have to accept that, because if you don't accept to be in a fight and flight mode all the time, when in order for you be able to stop this fight and flight mode and be in a harmonious way, you have to accept that many times in life you have just to be able to accept the kindness that comes to our, in my case, the kindness that's coming on my way, and be okay with that, and embrace my feminine energy. Tell you know what, I really need support right now, and I'm ready with my open heart to receive that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, I guess I love the points that both of you put across. Like, first is receiving, where we today as women collectively around the globe need to start doing, because we're all so much in our masculine energy. And that's what demands of us. Like, at this point, most of us are, we're taking control of our life, and we're doing things, but that somewhere that needs to change. I understand, when life throws curveballs, like you mentioned, Andrea, like, or even Jennifer, you know, you are stuck in that position where you need to do things, you're raising kids on your own, you need to, you have a job, everything. But I think we just need to understand and take that intentional time out to drop into our divine feminine. I'm not saying that, hey, just chuck all your responsibilities and, just let go of everything. No, you can't. When you're a parent, you can't. When you have responsibilities, you can't. So I think women anywhere should like sit just for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, have like a long shower, just just let it go, light a candle, do whatever you feel like, dance, put on some good music and just let go. I think those are the like little things that you can do to be in your feminine energy. And like even the way that you dress, if it allows you, if your profession allows you to, your schedule allows you to, start wearing little flowy dresses, wear nice earrings. I think all that, it's not for appearances, it's for yourself. It's about feeling soft. So even if you are in your masculine energy, you're getting things done, at least you're sort of balancing it out in these small ways that you can. So I think, yeah, and receiving is not just material things. It's also about receiving rest, receiving abundance of whatever someone's trying to help you. It's okay, let them help you, and yeah, it's not like I'm perfect. I'm also learning to do this. Like even the other day someone paid me a compliment and I sort of got awkward, and they reminded me that, hey, you know what, receive it with grace. And I said, yeah, that's gone in my head. So yeah, it's in the small things. And I think, Jennifer, like the what you mentioned about Goddess Kali, yeah, she has also been, oh my god, she's been such a big part of my life a few years ago when I was also going through my divorce. And for me, she resonated, of course, yeah. So that's where the dark feminine and the light feminine, the concept comes, and she's like the best example of that. So the dark feminine is what I think most of us are in this, today, in this energy of being not apologetic for just being who you are, for just being just being fiercely protective, of yourself, of your children. So yeah, she does bring those qualities as well. And to add to that, she also is about cutting down on ego, on limiting beliefs, so that is also dark feminine. It's not, there's nothing dark about it.
No, it's just a hidden part, right?
Yes,
It's the one
exactly.
that's hiding that we like try to we think we're hiding from it, but no, it's coming to light because there's something we need to
Yeah.
grow and develop from there, right? I love
Yeah.
this. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, no, you correctly said it's a shadow part. That's why it's called dark feminine. It's not always about, flowers and bees and blah, blah, blah. It's about facing yourself, facing the deepest, darkest parts of yourself. And trust me, once you're out on the other side of that tunnel, of that teaching phase, and what Goddess Kali does is that she will literally it's like, in the olden days they used to have that washcloth, I don't know, like a stone, and they used to beat the cloth to wash it. That's how Goddess Kali is when you need to learn a lesson. And you must be blessed beyond words to have her appear in your life when you need it the most, because she's tough love. She will make you learn your lesson, and she will hold your hand through it. She doesn't desert you. And I think like worshiping her has given me, so that's the thing, which is another podcast, but the deity that you worship, you imbibe their qualities. So oh my god, like the woman that I was 4 years back, without boundaries, without self-love, and then today, you know yeah,
And I
that's
really believe you are telling that there is two things that I feel that's very important. First, is let yourself really feel. Because what happens, especially when we go through traumatic situations in life, we have the tendency don't let ourselves to really feel. And it's so important you take your time to really feel and experience all those emotions, to really surrender. It's talk about not just about being, but surrender completely to whatever is in front of you, and let yourself feel on that surrender, feel those emotions, because if you don't do that, you are not going to heal properly, you are not going to give yourself self-love, and you know that's okay. You experience all those emotions that needs to come to the surface, because otherwise you are blocking that. You are not going to be healing properly. You are not going to become your true authentic self. Because for me, one of the qualities that I really admire the most in people is being vulnerable, being able to be completely vulnerable, completely open, and surrender. And don't be afraid to tell people and express yourself in a way that, you know what, this happened to me. I may face it, this and that's okay. Don't be ashamed of whatever came to your life, and don't be ashamed to be your true, most authentic self. We cannot have shame of who you truly are on the core. And when you surrender to your true, authentic self, beautiful things come out of that. Amazing things, and you'll be more and more incorporate this feminine energy on you, and the feminine energy is so, how can I tell, it's so pure, it's so hairy, so beautiful. There is so much beauty, and we become this most authentic feminine energy that we can have, because there is a lot of wisdom behind that. That is kind of sacred. It's that is so sacred that eyes. But in order to do that, you really need to be able to surrender, to be vulnerable, experience whatever comes to us. Don't be afraid to, if you need to cry, cry. Whatever happens in your life, really be able to be okay, and don't be hiding who you truly are. That's why you face situations in life. And like you told from it about the ego, I completely agree with that. Don't be afraid to tell. You know, sometimes we don't surrender because of the ego is speaking louder. Because we always have to be the stronger one. We have to show to the world that we are strong. It is not like that. We also have to show the world that we are vulnerable too, that we are facing something in life, and be okay with that. Letting the universe, people, whatever, be able to open up yourself completely, then beautiful things will come to your life.
Yeah, beautiful point. Like such an important point, really. Um, it's like literally the core of what I do, right? Like body work is literally that, because the body remembers emotions, situations that you have faced years and years ago, and your mind may forget it. You might forgive, you might move on, whatever it is, but your body stores the trauma. And it doesn't even need to be like a big incident. Maybe you and your best friend in high school had a fallout, but she meant something to you, they meant something to you, but you store that sadness somewhere, or whatever, the grief, so we're just so busy in our daily lives. Everything is just about next, next, just check the boxes every single day. And like you said, like the way through the storm is the eye of it. So only when you sit, and I find it so beautiful. Like now, when I've gone through my journey, and it's not like, you don't face difficult situations once, you've gone through a spiritual awakening or something like that. Life goes on. You can experience bad things again, but this time the difference is how you handle it. So this time I sit with my emotions. I don't run away from it. And that's made all the difference. Like you said, Andrea, like that is the crux of it. And it's scary. Yes, it is. But you have to sit with the discomfort. And once you've ridden that wave, then wow, like there's a whole new world waiting for you. And I think that's where energy workers or facilitators kick in. What we do, like what all of us are doing, is just holding space for people to face their fears, to break down, like whatever that they need at that moment, right? So that's
Mhm.
where working with someone who is, you know um, trained in holding space matters. And yeah, I would say, yeah, friends always exist. They're always there to help you, but they're humans too. So I know we're just digressing from the topic, but don't put everything on friends, because they might not be trained to hold space for you, or they have 100 things going on in their lives. I'm not saying it's an excuse to not help a friend in need, but it's just like a point where you can work without, support like that. So yeah, but getting back to topic, I think I want to like discuss, where this term divine feminine came from, like historically speaking, different cultures, different, yeah. So I think if anyone was to pick up on that, I'll be
Yeah,
happy.
that's a great topic because I don't know where divine feminine came from. And in this part of my journey, it's like, does it even freaking matter?
Yeah,
Especially when it comes to showing up authentically. I At the root, it's like we have these different traits, but it's really, you know, being able to be ourselves truly, right? And Andrea, you were, saying, you can be vulnerable and surrender. There was a time in my life where I was like, what the hell is that? Surrender to what? And yeah, I surrendered to Yahweh when I was at my lowest of low, right? But to be vulnerable, it was never safe. So Smriti, when you were saying, oh, your friends, right? And I'm like, what friends? No, but I understood, like with friends, life hits in. But even with therapists and coaches, some of them who are supposed to be trained are not a great source. I was like, why am I paying you? This
yeah,
happened to me several times where I was like, I paid for help, and I was like, you should have paid me, but really, it's like looking
no,
within.
that's so true.
Yeah, looking within, right? And saying, I want to be better. And, asking like, what is divine feminine? And I go, I'm you could read and search it up and it says, oh, you're able to receive, you're compassionate, you're soft, you're creative and you're intuitive and you trust your intuition. Masculine or feminine, we should all be doing that,
Yeah,
having this release, right? So I'm curious, like, where does it come from? Because I feel like really in the past 10 years, this whole divine, probably that was when my awakening was, but this whole divine feminine part is like, whoa, 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 and this is ready to lead me to another topic, but I'm going to stay on. So the divine feminine is like, yeah, where did it really come from? When did it open up? And for me, it was like, well, 10 years ago, I here's mommyhood, right? Well, 15 years ago, mommyhood, and having my children softened me a bit, but it also put me on another place.
mm,
It's not just about me. And I before, when I was single, I was just all over the place enjoying. Now as a mother, it's very different. So where did this divine feminine, and does it really matter for us to be the certain way, or is it really just authentically being ourselves and being able to receive and give and be authentic, right? What is being authentic? That
yeah,
was for me. So
I agree with you. I don't know where that comes from, but I know that the divine feminine is something that has become lately much more like, for example, I grew up, I never heard about the expression. Like growing up, my parents, society did not talk about that. But you are so right, it's really to be able to truly become your true authentic selves and don't be afraid to show this feminine aspect with everything. Because, for example, on my energy healing work that I also have the program, the 3 months, the anchor, what really happens is people come to me with so much lack of self-love, self-acceptance. They are so afraid to show their own light and to become the true, authentic feminine aspect. And that's what really I help them through energy healing, so hypnotherapy, different techniques. Is really to tell that it is safe for them to become their true authentic self. And then when they feel safe from within, they start to bring to the surface aspects that they were so afraid, like again, like being safe, feeling safe within yourself, feeling safe to love themselves, feeling safe to forgive themselves, feeling safe to be happy, feeling safe to be still, feeling safe to say no, that they don't, because many times they say yes when they want to say no. Feeling safe to say, oh, no, this is not acceptable for me. And you tell them, you know what, I don't care if you don't accept the way I am. I'm sorry, you are not supposed to be in my life. It's really starting on layer all those blockage, everything that wall that they put in front of them to really become the true authentic self. So they start to unpeel every layer, and then when you start to feel that, you worry about society expectations. You stop you worry about what people think about you. And when you embrace that, you know that you are this beautiful, authentic being. And the people that belong to your life, you'll be in your life. And you be okay. Be by yourself. Be okay feeling stillness. And you really embrace this true, beautiful feminine energy. Because if you don't embrace that, we are not be able to surrender completely, to be vulnerable, and really explore this intuition that we have. That our intuition is crucial, because when we follow our intuition, because people have this misconception, in my opinion, that they tell you many times, you have to feel the not the intuition but the thinking part. And I tell you, if you really trust in your intuition, our intuition will guide us in the right direction. And if people keep saying the opposite, we cannot live it by your intuition. But our intuition doesn't lie, and you have just to trust more on that. And that how we become more and more aligned with our feminine energy, and there's so much beauty behind that. It's amazing. It's powerful, guys. It's so powerful and beautiful.
Yeah. No, I think intuition is a big part of, us, of divine feminine. I say us because at least the three of us identify as. So, like you hit the nail on the head. If you don't follow intuition, life is going to get you back to that point where you decided not to follow it and then test you again. So, until, like, at least out of personal experience. And trust me, like, when something doesn't feel right, just listen to that. That's why it's called a gut feeling. It's the same thing as intuition. And trust me, women are just not connected to it nowadays because they think that everything has to be logical, everything has to be on paper, and only if it makes sense on paper, then it's fine. But it's not that. That's the sixth sense that animals have, that women have. So yeah, I mean intuition can either break your life or make it. But I think, like, what I have, this is from personal experience that I want to share with other women. So why divine feminine is even important, this energy, is when, and also tying to authenticity. So when you are not in your divine feminine, if you identify as one but you're not in that energy, that means you're not getting adequate rest, you're always doing things, you're pushing yourself, you're in that kind of energy, then you get disconnected from your center. So just imagine, like, there is a glass that has to be half and half, equal halves, and then you just keep drawing, one half of whatever liquid there is, and then, the whole balance. Okay, that's the wrong example maybe, but there needs to be a balance. So when you're always in your masculine, you're gonna get agitated, you're gonna get irritated, because that is not your true self. That's where authenticity comes in. Of course, it's also about who you are as a person, but who are you as a woman, who are you as divine feminine. So when you're always going to be doing, thinking, logical, you're going to feel irritated. So that's why you need to come back to being soft. So, yes, when we talk about a larger picture, the phase in your life may be demanding darker feminine energy or even masculine energy. But I think it's really, really important, like I said, to take time and reflect if you're really deviating from your natural center, and take time to inculcate that back. So I think that's where all of us are, like, straying from the truth, from who we are. And again, it's not about just being soft and being soft spoken. No, it's just about letting yourself be, whatever that means to you as a person. So yeah. um so Look, and it's also about compassion. It's about being kind. Those are also divine feminine qualities. So, I mean, think about it. If you're working, all right, and you're always, you know, you're not being kind to people, you're just, telling people what to do, you're also doing things. How does that feel in your body? Just, take a moment and think about it. Where does it feel really soft to you? Are you feeling, no, you wouldn't. Like, it will feel very rigid, So I think take time and see how that feels for you, and then you have your answer. So if that feels right to you, then please go ahead. But if that doesn't, then that's your indication that you need to work upon yourself. Yeah.
That's Smithy. Thank you for saying all those things. For me, it was like there were some things where I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. And then here's the thing, too, we are all very different. And really, it's about being in alignment with, or not just mentally, but emotionally, physically, and all the things, right? To be like, yes, this feels good to me, and it takes a great amount of self awareness as well, versus, going outwards, and I keep hearing, doing is a masculine thing. And for me, that doing has been shifting with identity, right? Because it's not about the doing, but what am I being in the process? What am I creating? That whole intuition, the whole, like, does this align with me? Does this feel good in my body? There's that soft part, but there's also that solid. And then what was also coming through was like the wounded feminine, the wounded masculine. Is is masculine always doing, or that strong force or whatever? It just kind of what you were sharing was bringing up so many different questions,
Mhm.
because I think of like my partner, and he's, I would say he's a great representative of the divine masculine, because he's very calm. And myself, energetically, I get excited, and it's like da 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 da, climbing trees. Like I want to roll around in the dirt. It's like I could be that dirty girl. Like I love nature. And he's just very grounded, and he just holds this steady space, for others, for my children, for myself, for his family, and just seeing how that kind of flow. And so, what is it? Don't they need to slow down too, or don't they need to be in that creative? Because I think of that masculine man who fixes stuff, and yet they got to use their creativity. They got to see this visual of beauty at the end. I mean, so I'm just kind of like, ooh, this is so good, but also honoring those who are listening, that there's seasons also, where it's like there's a time where you probably have to like really kind of hustle, and it's not a time to be soft, right? But there's that balance. And I think of all the different kinds of goddess and archetypes that are out there to show how femininity or divine feminine can look like, and like the one that keeps popping up is Freya. And I think of Freya as this goddess that is just, she has this really toughness, right? But then also like this real kind of like gentle look and appeal, very poised, compared to Aphrodite, who's this goddess of love, and it's just like, I'm just gonna love, I'm gonna lay here, I'm gonna just look at all beautiful things, and for me
Yeah.
it's like that archetype is not always me. Not at all. I'm probably furthest from Aphrodite, where it's like I'm just gonna lay and. But I do have moments like that in the mornings on a nice sunny day on the patio with my tea, right? So it's like, how do we honor all these different parts within ourselves, right? Is what was kind of coming through, being this soft but solid, trusting
Yeah.
the intuition versus trusting everyone else who's telling you stuff, when that may be their truth, but it doesn't have to be yours.
Yeah. No, I think it's a really valid point. When we really come down to the specifics of this topic. So everything is about balance. You're right. It's not so. There's this modern notion, at least like in these 2 or 3 years when these terms have popped up, that women and divine feminine means resting, and masculine means letting them do the work while you're just not contributing anything. That's wrong. That's you're just you're taking that term for your own convenience, if I may put it like that. It's not like that at all. So, for example, masculine energy is more of direction, structure, planning, decision making, taking action. And when you come to it, like at work, whether you have your own business or you're working somewhere, you're employed, you are in your masculine energy there. So that's what we've been discussing.
Mhm.
So during your work hours, that's what you're doing. We're not resting. We're not, unless of course, like you're creating something. You're in your feminine energy. You're thinking of something. You're ideating. You're in your feminine energy, or you're in your flow. So for example, you have a job that really doesn't dictate you to do the same thing day by day, then you're in your flow. You don't really have a structure. That way you're in your feminine energy. For example, you take the music industry, you took your film industry. So they're not doing like, the creating stuff. So that is feminine energy. So obviously if you take a male director, he is in his feminine energy, quote unquote, when he is directing a film, or singer songwriter when he is producing music. So yeah,
Mhm.
no one's saying, if you think after listening to this podcast that we're encouraging women to go tell their husbands to do everything while you're just sipping matcha or something on your couch, that's not what we're telling you. So yeah, it's about the balance, and definitely, even if a man keeps doing without a break whatever he is expected to do by society, blah blah blah, what he wants to achieve also, he needs a break as well. They're not machines. That doesn't mean that you don't need rest. That doesn't mean that they don't have hobbies. So that's where hobbies come. Whether you're chopping wood, whether you're listening to music, you're reading, all of that is the feminine energy. So yeah, I think we have to be more flexible to understand that it's about this balance. It's not about black or white. Yeah, that's
Yes.
the point.
I
Yeah.
agree with you. I agree with you completely. I think the balance is very important because there are, for example, many women that they have been learning to live they need to find a way to be by themselves, and they have to do everything. They have to be the provider, like you, Jenny, for 5 years of your kids and everything. You have to be the provider and everything. So when you have to do that, you know that you have to be in control of everything. So, like you told, for a long time, as you told, you're operating mainly in your masculine energy, but it's really about the balance, like you told us, you have to know how to balance that, and they also be okay that sometimes be your true authentic feminine aspect as well. Let it be. Let the people take care of you at some points. Let you feel protected. Let you be feel that someone can take care of you in some aspects, because when we start to believe ourselves and we know that we have to provide, we have to be in control, we have to do everything, use masculine and feminine, because we don't have anyone on our side to help us. So it becomes feel that you have to control everything in our lives, and it's not like that. Life will throw you very big, difficult challenges that on those moments people will need support, and be okay with that. Accept that. Accept whatever comes in your way, and be okay with that, because many times we are not okay to accept when we should be okay with that. That's how we create ways that we have to be always the strong one. We cannot show else. And this is a very masculine energy. You have to be always strong. We have to show that we are strong. We are resilient. We can overcome anything. And that's okay to sometimes be fragile. Sometimes accept that, because we are human anyway. We are human beings, and we are human on this lifetime. and be okay to sometimes just be open, surrender, and accept whatever comes in our way too. You don't need to be in control all the time. And I tell you, when you learn to balance that and they accept many times that people want to do something for us, when you learn to accept that and be surrendered to that, that becomes so much more fulfilling your life as well. You don't have to be doing everything for ourselves. You don't have to be in control of all the time of everything, and be okay with that. Accept that's a beauty. The beauty of life is be able to surrender, to accept what comes in our way, and don't be so protective. Don't put that wall in front of you. That wall is to be broken down. And when you're breaking down that wall, you start to balance things in a very different level and just be okay with that. And you see so much more beauty on that. Become your true, authentic feminine energy, caring, loving, feminine energy. That's so much beauty. Sometimes forget a little bit the of masculine inside and just becoming this flower, like when the flower is started to grow and open up, let's open up this feminine aspect of yours. That is so much beauty behind that.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Andrea, do you feel that's your season in this at this time? That's what you need to be doing?
I feel that, yes, I feel that because people don't know what happened to me. I don't, it's not the moment, but I've been going through the most difficult season of my life. And what I found out was that first thing, I'm not control of everything that happens to me. I have to be okay with that. Second, forgiveness, not just forgive myself, forgive others. Remove any shame that I misjudge the situation, and really start to give myself self-love and accept the love from others. It has been crucial for me. Accept that there are very beautiful souls in this lifetime
Mm,
and come to you to give you love, to give you support, and be okay with that. And I think that never in my life I have been feeling so much that it's okay to be on my full feminine energy like I am right now. Because the universe, God, whatever you want to believe, the energy is showing me that's okay to accept kindness coming from others. And that's amazing to feel this way, to feel that people want to help you, people want to protect you, people want to give you love, want to give you kindness, and be okay with that. That's the phase I'm now in my life, the decision I'm in right now in my life, yes.
beautiful. How about you, Smriti? What
Yeah, I
season?
think yeah, it's similar for me. I think a lot of years have gone in being, in my masculine energy, and I think that's where we burn out. And that's where the balance needs to be. I mean, who are we kidding? If you identify as a woman, yes, I think we are more comfortable in being in the softer energy. And when you're continuously, and I mean like years together, when you are in your masculine, it really exhausts you. And really consciously trying to choose a life which is softer for me. And now by softer, I'm not even going into just the, doing versus like the resting, what I spoke about. For me, it's also about letting go, like Andrea really is pointing out, and thank you. I think that's a personal message for me too. Let go, let people in, you know the flow versus the force. These are also masculine and feminine traits. So how much am I going to control? How much am I willing to let go and surrender, and trust in a higher power that things are going to be okay, or things are going to work out either way. And also cultivating my intuition. And trust me, I think that's been a game changer for me again, because when I look back at darker times, I will admit that I did not trust my intuition, or maybe I was much younger, I didn't even understand the concept. But now, when hey, I might lose something if I trust my intuition. Like, for example, you're working with somebody, you're collaborating, your business partner, whatever it is, and you feel something's off, maybe in the person, maybe in what you're doing, and you can't put a pin on it. You can't like be like, this is the point, but you know something's off. Just leave it. Walk away from that situation. So that's
Mhm.
where I'm trying to also cultivate my intuition and like logic, and like stay away from the logical side. And also, yes, like be more creative. I think like enough of structure. Like I do not be being in corporate for like most of my life, like all my life since I graduated. Structure is ingrained in you so much that even when you have 2 hours to yourself or you have the weekend to yourself, you still need a structure. And right now, like I'm doing little things. Like for example, if I go for a jog, if I go for a run, I let my body tell me where it wants to go. Like I do not follow the same path every day, And for example, I don't feel safe in an area, whatever, I don't feel like get good vibes, I will stay away from that. I won't go just because everyone's going. I'm just, just little things that I'm trying to let go. So yeah. And like I said, even personally, the way I dress, it is changing. I'm experimenting more, what makes me feel in my feminine. And like I mentioned, like maybe dresses, skirts, blah, blah, that might resonate with most of the girls there. But that's not the blueprint. Whatever makes you feel softer, do that. Whether it's accessorizing, whether it's, I don't know, getting a tattoo, whatever it is. Just yeah, let it be. I think that's my mantra. Let things be and let it go. And that's a download that I've been getting every single day, and that's really strong. That's why it's getting repeated, I guess. So
Mhm.
that's where I am.
And for you, Jennifer?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm listening to all of us talking, and our various backgrounds of you know what we've been through, and we all came from very different backgrounds. Because for me, being on the defense has been my safety, and to say, oh yeah, allowing to be held and for somebody to help. There was never anyone there. I don't want to say never anyone there. There weren't people there during some heavy times in my life where I did have to pick up all the pieces and navigate and figure out a structure. Also, figure out my release always been dance. So that is when I'm in my true divine feminine, is when I'm dancing and moving, you know. Um, but there was a long span of where it was just always me. Twice divorced, you know, always taking care of everything, making sure everything is, on point, bills are paid. And this is where like that structure, there going to be some structure, especially with like, to live in wherever you are at, to make sure that you have a home, you have somewhere to rest your head. You're not spending your money all over the place, that those important things, those needs are taken care of. Right. And so that was what helped me get through so many things. And then when I had children, it required less rest. And, for 10 years, it was just me with my children. My daughter's about to be 10, and before she was 1 years old, they separated from, their father, and because it was safer, and so there was this time of healing. And during that time, everyone thought that, I don't want to say everyone, I feel like I'm generalizing. Nobody knew what I was really going through. I didn't post about it. I didn't share about it. I mean, I didn't have time. It wasn't something I wanted to share. There was a lot of shame in that. And then I have my three children. So there was like this kind of going, moving, flowing, like the flow was when it was my children were dancing or singing when they were little. It was lots of fun. But then there was also that structure part, and so I had to learn to really surrender to the situation of being a single parent, because that was a real struggle for me. And so I'm telling all this because there's this backstory of where I'm leading to where I am now. And I had to learn to feel my feelings. So there was a time where I never listened to what I was feeling because there was things to do, especially when with my children. I didn't process the grieving, of being a divorced woman, being a single parent, and learning to be safe in my body, right? To be able to say, okay, I'm feeling this, I'm scared. Like feeling scared was scary. I go, I'm not allowed, I didn't give myself permission to feel that way. I had to just keep things moving and flowing, to get through, to make sure my kids are taken care of. And now in this time of my life, it's when I met my partner, we recently moved in together, and there was this whole process of allowing him to hold the space for me. Like we've been together going on 6 years, but we weren't living together. He wasn't paying my bills, or nothing like that, and I didn't ask of anything because I always took care of it. And when I moved with him, it was like I was tested and put in a situation. And he was like, don't worry, we'll figure it out. And in my head at first was like, we? I go, I, right? And so here I am now. It's almost been a year, our first year living together with my children. And it's allowing to be held, allowing to be taken care of. And that is so, it's been difficult for me because I don't know how, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. I know I'm not the only one, where we're in this space of like so used to doing it on our own and taking care of ourselves and having that control. Because let's face it, if we don't do it, no one else is going to do it for us, right? But yet we still want someone to love on us and take care of us, but then not knowing how to receive that when it's there is like a whole nother part. And so that's the season I'm in, is learning for someone else to hold the space and give to me. And that's been uncomfortable for me,
Yeah,
because, yeah, go
you
ahead.
are. Mhm. You are losing the problem is the control aspect of that is very strong on us human beings. So when you feel that we don't have to be in control of everything, and you're so long, Jennifer, you spend that you had to control everything. And that's okay. You don't have to be in control of everything. And you accept that. When you start to accept that there is so much beauty that you know that there is someone else on your side, that someone else is willing to protect you, willing to make you happy. And then when you surrender to that, there is so much love and the beauty behind that. We don't have to be in control. That's what this season that I'm still facing in my life was I learned so big was that some things are out of our control and be okay with that. Lose that control side because beauty can come in so much beauty can come when we are open to not be in control of every single aspect of our lives. We
Yeah.
don't have to. And it's beautiful, like in your case now, in your situation now that you have a partner that he please protect you. He wants to provide it for you and be okay with that. Receiving fully that love, surrender completely. That's a lot of beauty behind that. And your life will be much more fulfilling because of that. You don't have to be in control of everything, guys, and that's okay.
You
That's
know,
okay. There's a lot of beauty behind that.
yeah, and I agree, with everything you were saying too. But even when I was in that season with, single parenthood, there was a time when I was after my first divorce, it was just me, and then I met my children's father, and it was like this season with my children, I had to learn to really love myself and love that divine feminine within me for him to come in, to allow that space for him to come in. But as a mother, like that Kali energy was in, I very much felt that energy. But there was still this other side, like I said, with the through all I through everything I did dance. Dance was my release, that was my expression, that was where I felt very, flowy, and I'm just moving, and that was medicine for me. But really that learning to love this whole being and trust this being and surrender, right? So who I surrender was God, spirit, so it was like that relationship filtrating versus, having all these people come in, because I noticed I kept giving out, so there's so many things and it looks so many way with the divine feminine, right? It's like, is control really a bad thing? I don't want to say it's like control, like I had to pick everything, because shit happens, but it was like there was a certain structure that I knew that I had that helped me move forward easier, so that, like back to my financial stuff, right? Automating your money. Do you know you got to pay certain bills each month? You put that money aside and put it in an automated account where it's going to come out, because those things are going to get paid. Then you have a separate one where you can, that's your extra money, your spending money or whatever, and so that kind of helped me with, like, okay, here's my bills, that's going to be taken out, and this is the money I know I can spend, and that kind of helped me create this flow. But it was like, but yeah, allowing the other person to come in was a big part of, like, I think there's a process, like there's this whole shedding part, and then it's also the seasons, the different seasons in life, and where are we now and what are we calling in, right?
Absolutely, but when you love to learn it, when you look at I always tell this to my clients. When you can look at the mirror and stare the woman in front of you, and you know that is this beautiful, imperfect being, and that you love her so much for all her qualities, all her flaws, then when you look at that and you are proud of what you look in front of you, that give you plenty of space to surrender and to love yourself so unconditionally, because you know that
Mm.
something become unacceptable to you in your life, and that's okay. You know what you don't accept anymore, but at the same time you know what will be accepted in your life, and there is so much beauty behind that. When you become the, you look at yourself and become this beautiful imperfect being, and you are so proud of what you face in your life, what you achieved, what you accomplished in life. That's when you are finally be able to surrender to whatever coming next to your life, and you accept that without the need of control. Be start to accept that love coming to you, because you already know what will be accepted to you. And that's the problem. I think many people, many women still, they don't know how to love themselves so unconditionally, in a way that that's okay to accept what comes to you, because you already know what you want to accept anymore.
Mm. Beautifully said. Thank you,
That's
Andrea.
yeah, those beautiful points, and I think I love mirror work for that. It, oh my god, it changes things. Like same when I'm guiding someone to manifest. Also, it's about seeing yourself in the mirror as the version that you want to be. And in that process, you also see your shadows. So it's really personal. It's really deep, and I love mirror work for that. Uh, and I think to all women there, I know society has set a standard for us on how we should be, how we should look, how we talk, what we're supposed to be in society, like what our role is. And you don't need to stick to that. Okay. Like we keep repeating, it's about being authentic. So if you're not soft and dainty, blah, 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 you don't need to be. You're betraying yourself if that's not who you resonate with. So
Mhm.
really take time out to explore yourself, what makes you feel you. That's it. Like it's really simple. And also, like when we're talking about, like you said, Sia, you were in that phase where you had to get things done, and that's really true. And like you said, everyone has their seasons, everyone has their phases in life where we need to be in our masculine, and that's okay. That's what you got to do to survive. But I think even there, and I wish somebody had told me that when I was going through the similar phase where I didn't have anyone, was it's okay to let go. Take rest. Do the things that make you feel more flowy, more creative. Just take a Saturday off. Do whatever you feel like. Take yourself shopping or just eat an ice cream. Whatever it is that you feel gives you rest, meditate. It's like the small things. So yes, but don't hold that as an excuse that you're going through a hard time and you need to do it, because what that will do is it's counterintuitive. You need to take breaks. You need to honor the divine feminine inside of you. So, however dark it may be, like, move, dance, breathe. This is what gets you out. And yes, the biggest thing is movement. There is something called being sensual, which is not the same as being sexual. It's about feeling yourself. It's about moving how that in a way that makes you feel soft. So yeah, move, and that's what actually brings you out of that dark phase mentally. Movement, like, that is something that I will really advocate about aggressively, is movement, because yes, scientifically too, it creates happy hormones, it creates all sorts of good hormones for you, right? So, yeah, I think there's nothing black and white in what we discussed. It's just about being you, and don't force anyone to dictate what divine feminine should be. I think, yeah.
Mm. Yeah, well, as we close, let's go ahead and end with that. Like, Smriti, if there's anything else you want to add, what is something we can share with those who are listening,
The
about.
only thing I'd like to add to the spectator is don't be afraid to be your true authentic self. Don't be afraid to go to the seasons and really feel your emotions and just start to give yourself self love, love to yourself. Then you start to feel safer within yourself. Look at yourself in the mirror, have a conversation with yourself. See the beauty that is so much inside you, and start to value for everything that you have. And you really, when you start to really recognize and be proud of who you are, even if there is aspect of yourself, your life that's not going the best that you could be, you are going some difficult challenge situation in your life, remember who you are and you give yourself permission to love yourself unconditionally, to surrender, trust your intuition, trust your beautiful imperfect being. Everything will be okay. There is always a way out when you know how to learn how to love and really recognize ourselves unconditionally. And that's it. So I would like to send today, whoever is watching this today, a lot of love and light. And don't be afraid to be a beautiful, imperfect being, because there is a lot of beauty behind that.
So beautiful, Andrea. Thanks.
Yeah.
That even made me melt a little bit. Yeah, it's about putting yourself first, right? Like, my goodness, we're just used to putting everyone else before us, and this is our time to say, no, I deserve and I'm worth being put first by myself, by others, and that's literally like divine feminine. So yeah, and I think, like, one takeaway practically is also become aware of your schedule, become aware of where you feel like you're not being your true self. Just keep a journal and reflect at night and be like, I did this and that didn't make me feel good, or I'm just like grinding too much. Take short breaks, like, bring the practical aspect to it. You don't need to, romanticize everything, but be practical, take baby steps, on how you want to feel. Yeah, don't let anyone tell you what you want to be, I think, is my mantra for now. Yeah.
Mhm.
What about you?
Eugene,
Yeah.
No, beautiful shares. I love what you both said. Yes, I'm feeling it all, feeling it all. And also, I would say trust your intuition. You have the answers within you, and that is the guide to being truly authentic. And self-acceptance, self-love, all the things, is the answers already within us. So I'll close with that.
Yeah.
Thank you all.
Beautiful. Yeah.